What is up, troop? In today's video, we're going to look at using Logic Pro to build our own drum breaks from scratch. So in the past on this channel, we've looked at all the fundamentals of drum breaks, putting percussion and things in our D&B breaks, creating certain sounds and chopping up some of the classic breaks, then looking at some of the effects and processing we can do to really elevate those up. What we're going to do now is look at how we can use the tools inside Logic Pro to create our completely own unique drum breaks. And then hopefully you can take what you learn and apply it to build your own drum breaks. Let's dive into Logic and look at all the tools we've got. And what I'm going to do is start with audio, and I'm going to find a couple of samples in the loops library. So first things first, let's jump over into the loop library. We can get to that over here on the right hand side, just with a simple click on our lovely little loop, and or the shortcut is O. Now, if your library is limited or shows less than what's in mine, or we use a drum sample that you can't find, what you need to do is go up to the top here into Logic Pro, go down to Sound Library, and here you can open the Sound Library Manager, and you can download the packs you want, or you can download all essential sounds or download all available sounds. As you can see, I don't even have that downloaded, and if I were to open the Sound Library Manager, there'd be a whole bunch of things in here that I don't have. But for the most part, I've got all the loops that I'm after. And if you're missing something, that's where to find the extras. And don't sleep on these extra sounds just because they're stock sounds that come with Logic. They're updated pretty frequently, and there's some amazing stuff in there for you to use to save you buying sample packs right off the bat. Although if you want to, my sample pack's linked below. So we can go instrument just here, or drums, and we could filter it out via genre, or we can hit tempo here and scroll ourselves down to something that's sort of an amenable tempo, or we can look at something that's going to be, I don't know, like in the 85 kind of range. 87 would be great, but that's what it is. See, here's a whole bunch of breaks that I don't have. And that's got a really nice shaker sound in it. So I'm going to grab that. We're going to have that one. We're going to drop it straight into the quick sampler by just dragging it over and dropping it. Let's see what else we got. I mean, I kind of like that kick snare. Who knows if I'll use it, but let's drag it over. Yeah, it's got too many snares. That kind of works. Let's take that. I mean, that just feels too easy, right? Alright, that'll do. We'll work with those. So first things first, let's take this one here and we'll just make ourselves a little loop. We'll set our BPM up to 174. If you're unfamiliar with some of the structures I'm about to use and some of the rhythms, it's all covered in this video that I'll link up here somewhere. So I'm going to use a little pencil tool, make ourselves this right here, and yeah, I think a little 4-bar loop will be nice here. So we drop this in Quick Sampler. It would have already chopped it up for us quite nicely. Now we've upped the tempo massively, so let's switch on the flex time and leave follow tempo on. That will speed things up a little bit for us without us having to do too much. And let's just have a little listen through and hear what we've got. So first things first, I don't really want that. In fact, I only really wanted the shaker from this. So over here on filter, I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to put it on a high pass with the 24 dB slope and only give it the top end. Now let's hear what we've got here. We could literally use that pattern, bring it up again like that, and then loop that round like this. Yeah, there's a couple of bits in there I don't like. That one there I'm not a fan of, so we'll select that, move this elsewhere. Alright, that'll do. It's just an idea there for a little top shaker. Just going to copy this and make it the 4 bars by holding Option and drag. And then I'm going to click and select the two, press T and G, click them, and it will join them together as one for me. So that's now a little 4-bar loop. Let's have a look at our next one. Speaking of which, today's video is sponsored by DistroKid. They let me get my music out to all of the major distributors, and they do that at a price an independent artist can easily afford. If you're ready to get your music or beats out there and want to release an unlimited amount of music each year, check the link in the description below for a discount off of your first year of unlimited distribution with DistroKid. So I think I'm probably going to use the kick and the snare out of this. So we can just make a short clip like that. And let's see, what do we got? We'll do the classic D&B pattern. Velocity wise, we want this to be kind of not too all over the place, like loud and proud, but we can have a little bit of a velocity change. Why not? Now we'll just go to the end one here and maybe mix this up. I don't know, stick an extra kick in, even slightly lower. Like that, and we could maybe like roll the snare off a really low snare roll. like that. That gives a nice little end to the 4-bar and just a little ear signal that, you know, we're rolling back over here. I like that. Depends what you want to do. Super simple technique to try out though, right? I'll do the same things before. I'm going to select all of them, T and G, glue them together. I'm now not feeling the shaker pattern, even though we rolled with that. I think what I'll do with the shaker pattern, loop it like this instead. That way we can just manipulate this first one here. I think we'll just use it as a gap filler. So that pattern alteration there gives us that little shuffle, but that happens every bar, whereas the kick and snare shuffle happens at the end of the 4th bar. That just gives that constant rolling feel that I kind of like. It's all about groove with these kind of drums. Now I think what we can do here on this old school flex beat, we're going to grab Q sampler. We're literally just using the kick snare here and there's a hat in the middle. We're going to bring this all the way down like that. We are going to right click. We're going to create a drum machine designer. And it's literally just going to do those 4 samples there for us, look. And we can bring our pattern down onto that. We can get rid of the original. And the reason for that is I can now select the kick, for example, here, and I can pitch it as I want. And I want to bring it up like that. The other thing I want to do here is I can now unfold this like this, or within the mixer, if I press X, I can unfold it like so. And I'm just going to send the snare to a bit of reverb. We can just really quickly name these, look. Fold those away again. I think we can shape that kick drum sound just a little bit as well. So again, we'll grab the kick just here. We can use our filter here, leave it on 100%, put it on something like creamy, give it a bit of drive. Just a bit of flavour to it. But now they're completely separate, we can mix them up as much as we want anyways. Alright, and then we had this break here, which what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to right click, copy MIDI pattern, draw ourselves a pattern in here. What I want to do is just Command V that pattern in and just see what that's like. Way too aggressive, right? But let's try using the ADSR. So I just want it to be on those main transients there. Let's copy the MIDI again. Drop that in again. It's all kind of all over the place at the minute. You can see that with the MIDI pattern right here. We can have some fun here and just use a quick quantize. If we put it on something like 1/8 notes, we get that really crazy choppy break. If we do like the 1/16 swing B, right, let's tidy it up a bit. So we've got a kick there, which is nice. We don't really want that second kick, so get rid of you. Don't want that 3rd kick. So what I think we can do with that is take that and just really down its velocity. So now we can have, don't need another snare hit after that. Got that kind of nice ride sound in there. I think maybe have that right at the start of the loop. Another kick here is almost right where we want it. There's our snare, we're going to bring you back. All right, so now we've just got this really chopped up. Let's lay that in with the other bits we've done, see what we get. The other thing I'm going to do here is extend this out, and I'm not going to have this drop each time. So we're going to copy the whole thing, and we can maybe have that repeat every 2 bars. You'll see a theme here, hopefully. You know, we've got that little shuffle in the tops every bar, this doing a little hi-hat thing, ride thing, whatever, every 2 bars, every 4 bars, the kick snare rolls, and everything kind of all gels together in this kind of flowy, syncopated vibe. All right, let's take it away. Pretty boring, right? Now I would be inclined to keep using this natural jazzy break and take all those little hi-hat bits and make loads of like really fast rhythms in there. But we've got a bunch of other tools to look at. So I'm going to use a drum synth and put like an electric hi-hat and in there. So let's go into here, let's go software instrument. And if we go drum synth, let's go mono, boop. Now we've got one of those. Now we've changed kick to hats and cymbals. We don't want a crash cymbal here. I want sharp hi-hat. Let's make ourselves a nice fast hi-hat rhythm, like solidly on the 16th. Let's give it a nice little velocity control as it goes along. Alright, I think we'll do that every 2 bars rather than every bar there. I can kind of work with that other break. I'm going to select all those. I'm going to use that MIDI humanize function again, just to shake these up a little bit. So we can just randomize by about 5, operate only, and just to give them a bit of variation across that. And we can just duplicate that again, like so. It's clearly too loud, I get it, we're going to shape it now. So we can do a whole bunch of crazy good stuff with this. We can pitch it to wherever we want. That's actually kind of cool, pitch right down. That actually kind of works really nicely. I want it to be kind of a digital sound, but sort of dirty sitting in there. Attack generally works really well at 0. If you do too much of a slow attack, you get that weird effect. But you can have a little bit in there. Right, honestly, 0. Dissonance. Proper crashy. I'm going to make it really short as well. There we go. Now if we wanted to tune it, we could put key tracking on, but I'm going to take this another step further, and I'm going to use the drummer now. We can go over here into drummer. If you've seen any of my track from scratches, you will have seen me do this before. If we go songwriter, in the drummer down the bottom here, turn off the kick, turn off the snare, turn off the hi-hat, turn on the rides, take the fills all the way down. You just instantly got these beautiful top rides. And we can change the pattern just using this most of the time, or how high we want it in velocity, or if we drag the cymbals across, we can get a faster pattern. It just does such a great job every single time. If we go into the mixer for it, go into the compressor, leave distortion up on hard, put this to like 3/1, bring the threshold right down, set the auto gain to -12, and just gain it to where you need it. Also the EQ, because of the way we're using this, we don't need any of the low end, so we can just drag that away. If you put a nice boost in like this, you can just hear where it's nice to roll it off. You don't need any of that. If you can't hear it without, with. Right, a ninja little hack now. Let's say you're working in, I don't know, we'll pretend we're working in F. Watch this with the kick and snare trick. So we're going to add 2 more drum synths. So this is going to be our kick pattern, which we know is that. The kick and snare respond to pitch. So if I was to bring this down an octave, all right. Yeah, we can literally just go to the end here, loop that out. And now let's just design our kick so it works with this kind of break. Right, we can leave pitch where it is because we've just tuned it. It's decay really. So now it just really beefs out the bottom end. You can distort the hell out of it if you want. Just find a little touch like that. It's just a layer, and that layer is now in tune with the rest of your track. Again, presuming you're in F. We can now do the same thing with the snare. And again, it's decay. It's the big one, just little in tune and dirt. Can be quite a nice little touch as well. Without. That's all it's adding in. What can be a super nice touch as well is we sent everything to that reverb before, right? So if we go into here, go into bus, can give that the same reverb and room space. Really, really nice. Right, now one last thing, we've built this up so at the end of each 4 bars it has that little roll off, kind of like signifying its ending. We're going to use a drummer one more time to really like sell that drum roll at the end. So let's add one more drummer track. And go T and I, we're just going to chop that off there at the 4 bar. We don't want the rest of it. All we really want is the last little bit at the end here. Maybe a bar and a half like that. We're going to go to fill, crank that right up, turn off the kick, the hi-hat, just leave the toms on. It only shows the one note, but there's a whole lot going in there. Go to the compressor like we did before, crank it up with the -12. I'm going to give it like a 3:1 ratio again. Pull the threshold back a bit so it catches those toms. There we go. We can even apply a little bit of the swing that we've been using because it's on 16th. That'll work nicely. You can move this around. It would sometimes change the rhythm depending on what you've got. The velocity changes depending on what you do there. Tend to just stick it at loud for this kind of thing. The more you give it, space-wise, the more kind of flex it has within the roll. And where you place it depends heavily as well as to what it gets to do. Right, here's one last thing that we can look to doing to really sell it as a break. We've got all these channels now, there's a fair few. Let's select all of them together. We're going to go studio out and we're going to set it to a bus. I work in groups of 10, so I'm going to make bus 10. We're going to call this guy break. We're going to put the compressor on it. We're going to switch that to the vintage VCA. You can use a preset in here, it will do a good job for you. It's called Drum Mix. It will give you a great starter. Switch it back to the vintage VCA. We can really squeeze it by doing the makeup gain of -12. We're going to take all of our inputs here that we've sent into this bus and we're just going to control them a bit. You could gain stage them at the Q sampler or just pull them back in here if you want. So we're not overloading the bus as it goes in. Bear in mind we've done no mixing, that's just completely flat as it is. You can use the distortion on soft to really crank it up. If you don't want it to overload, limiter. Just to clarify here, I'm not saying do this in your mix. This is to make a vintage beefed up drum break, okay? Before you get all finicky about gain staging and whatnot. It's a creative effect. This is what I like to do. And it's the result that matters. And the result that we get here is a tanked up, beefed up drum break, made entirely in Logic in just a few minutes. So that's it guys, those are the tools that I use in Logic Pro and how I would build my own drum break up from scratch. It's a pretty damn good break, to be fair, considering we've used nothing but stock sounds, stock samples, and brought it all together really, really quickly. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to learn more about the way I use Logic, especially building up all the breaks, check out these videos next if you haven't already.